House Democratic Leader Hakeem Jeffries stood on the Capitol steps today, reiterating how Dems remain in D.C. to save health care for Americans.
This is day 2 of Donald Trump's shutdown, but it's day 256 of the chaos that the Trump presidency has unleashed on the American people. Republicans have shut the government down because they don't want to provide health care to working class Americans. House Democrats continue to be here on duty. House Republicans are on vacation. We are ready, we are willing, we are able to sit down with anyone, anytime, any place, including the president and the vice president, to try to find a path forward, to reopen the government, enact a spending agreement that actually meets the needs of the American people, while at the same time addressing the Republican health care crisis. Unfortunately, Republicans have shown zero interest in even having a conversation. After the White House meeting, on Monday, we've seen behavior by the president that is unserious and unhinged. And Leader Schumer and myself haven't gotten a single phone call as it relates to a follow-up conversation. We're ready to have that conversation, but we need credible partners on the other side of the aisle. And Donald Trump and Republicans have made clear they wanted to shut down the government. They want to inflict pain on the American people. They continue to engage in their retribution efforts, and they have zero interest, zero, in providing high quality, affordable, and accessible care to everyday Americans.
Well, Trump, of course, said the shutdown will result in mass federal layoffs. He's really been waiting for this. In response, the American Federation of Government Employees and the American Federation of State Count and Municipal Employees, AFSCME, they filed a lawsuit challenging the Trump administration's threats. The suit claims that the Office of Management and Budget violated the law by threatening mass terminations. Katie Fang is senior advisor with the Democracy Defenders Fund. She also is with the Persist Network. Okay, Nola, calm down. No, y'all know Gumbo Queen. Y'all know Gumbo Queen. Nola Haynes is also on the Persist Network. So she sends me one more damn text message like, oh my God, it's so great that Katie's going to be on the show tonight. Oh my God, oh my God. Okay, all right, so let's get right to it. So first and foremost, Katie, these nitwits literally tried to order federal employees to change their signature line to say, oh, we're not at work because the Democrats are the cause for this.
Well, that was whack. And what's going on is that's a whole other Hatch Act violation moment. That's also a violation of other federal statutes to basically just have partisan hackery and forcing all of these federal agencies to. These are the out of office emails, Roland. These are the replies that you get if you email a government employee right now during the shutdown, and they're blaming the Democrats, which just goes to show how desperate the Republicans are. But the Hatch Act violation's totally different than what we're seeing now. We just saw Donald Trump post today on Truth Social that this is the Project 2025 blueprint being met. This idea that if you have an agency, a program, a federal program that is no longer funded, and that is because of Congress not being able to continue appropriations and funding. Now Donald Trump is saying, with the help of Russell Vogt, one of his lackeys, that, you know what? If it doesn't meet with one of my priorities, I can kick it. I can get rid of it. And so it's not only just federal employees that are either working without getting paid or have been furloughed without money until we get the shutdown over. Now, while they're out, they're not going to get their jobs back. And that is the reason why we at Democracy Defenders Fund, along with some incredible other coalition partners like Democracy Forward, and another incredible law firm out in California, we filed this lawsuit on September 30th because we saw the writing on the wall. They're not subtle, right? They tell you exactly what they're going to do. There's a memorandum I want to cite to, Roland, that was issued that said if it is an unfunded federal program, we consider it to no longer be statutorily required to be carried out. There's no authority for that. And then on September 28th, they issued new guidance for the shutdown saying that, guess what? We're going to pay people to fire people during the shutdown. That's how gross they are about this.
Listen, I mean, you're dealing with people, to your point about Russell Vought. Donald Trump claimed in the election that, oh my God, I know nothing about Project 2025. Then, of course, he posted today about how Russell Vought is from Project 2025 fame. We all knew he was lying. And people like Nora O'Donnell should be apologizing to Vice President Kamala Harris, who challenged her on those points. And we all knew he was lying the moment he said he knew nothing about Project 2025. We knew he was lying.
Yeah, and that is a huge issue when it comes to, if I may take the privilege of this to say, mainstream media has failed Americans time and time again. Because if you don't push back and demand accountability for answers that are provided from the Oval Office, from the federal government, then you're just complicit in the lies. And if you are in mainstream media, because remember, they're really the only people that are continuing to get access to this administration. They're not giving people like me and you access, right, to be able to challenge them, cross-examine them, get to the answers. There should be coordination then in mainstream media and legacy media to make sure that if a question is posed to Trump, that convicted felon has to answer the damn question. And it should be follow-up upon follow-up. Say, my colleague Roland Martin just asked you this question, President Trump, and you didn't answer it.
Yep.
But because you don't have the accountability, you just let the lies filter to the American people. And right now, when you have federal agencies who landing pages on the internet blame Democrats, alleging that we're trying to give free health care to, quote, illegal immigrants, and you're not checking that at the door, then you are complicit in the lies.
And what we're dealing with people, they don't care about federal workers. They're threatening these firings. They're claiming that, oh, we're just going to sweep folks out. And Eric Erickson is like, oh, great. We can sweep out these Democrat bureaucrats and we can bring in vetted MAGA people.
Yeah, and we saw how well that worked at the beginning of 2025, did we not? Remember, DOJ was supposed to root out, quote, fraud, waste, and abuse. And that ended up in the crapper. So when it comes to this specifically, this lawsuit is going to force them not only to have to disclose communications, correspondence, planning, and plotting, but it also says, look, you have to follow the law. Because remember, one of the last places we're able to hold people and hold truth to account and power to account is in court. We're getting some successful rulings in court. And when we filed this lawsuit, the idea was to make sure that we said you don't have the federal statute, you don't have the federal authority, you don't have anything that allows you to wholesale do a reduction in force, a RIF, during a government shutdown. Remember, this is an emergency shutdown that was based on a lapsing of appropriations and funding. This is congressional action or inaction based upon how you look at it. This is not a planned organizational change, which is what a reduction in force happens within, right? The framework of a RIF is usually it's a planned organizational change. In this instance, the money has run out, but Trump and Vogt and all these other people in the Trump administration are trying to use the shutdown as cover to do illegal firings of federal employees. And these are people, Roland, that are keeping the wheels going, right? They're keeping the wheels on the train. They're making sure that things get done. And these are the people that we need to protect the most at this time.
And let's be clear. What these people are doing, and the Supreme Court is letting them, they're just deciding, New York City, New York State, we're not going to send you $18 billion in transit funding because we believe that your DEI plans are unconstitutional. Hey, Atlanta, you're not going to get $37 million because you got DEI programs. Oh, all you blue states, you can forget the $8 billion because you get the Green New Deal scam when the Green New Deal was never passed because it deals with infrastructure and climate change. They're operating as if they can do whatever they want. And this is where the courts have to have the guts to say, no, you can't. You're not a king.
And we've been seeing the lower courts, from the trial courts, district courts to the appellate courts. They're the ones that have been carrying the burden of making sure that the rule of law is still respected. It is SCOTUS and the uber conservative majority on SCOTUS that is creating the challenges that we are seeing right now when it comes to, for example, foreign aid that was already appropriated and earmarked by Congress. SCOTUS is allowing the president of the United States to now say, I'm going to freeze that funding in the meanwhile. And what happens? All of that soft power that the United States can exercise globally, it ends up dissipating, and we end up being more of a laughingstock on the global stage. But what's important to remember here is if we don't continue to believe in the rule of law, then we have no laws. The body politic is dysfunctional right now. That's part of the reason why Senate Democrats have said, you know what, we're going to hold the line and we're not going to continue to feed the beast. We have to remember, while this is going on, though, if these, quote, programs are not meeting with the priorities of the administration, what the heck is that? It's intentionally vague. It's illegally vague, but you just reeled it off, didn't you? If it touches DEI, if it's deemed to be, quote, woke, then clearly they're going to say it doesn't meet with the priorities of the administration. And so they're going to kick those programs. And these are going to be so many people that are impacted. But here's the funny thing, right? Rural America, when it comes to Trump's big bullshit bill, rural America in Republican jurisdictions and Republican states, they're going to feel it just as hard, if not harder, than some of these blue states. Because a lot of these blue states have been taking care of their residents, right? And so it's not just the government shutdown. It's a double whammy at the hands of the Republicans. It's the big bullshit bill and now the government shutdown.
Well, to me, it's just beyond laughable to watch this reaction, and then they act like they can't do anything. But I thought you control all levels of the government.
That's right. I call it a political power trifecta. They control the White House, the Senate, and the House. So why would Senate Democrats fund their own irrelevancy if, one, Congress is not going to get the respect that it deserves as a co-equal branch of government, and two, if the Republicans have such a spectacular agenda that is so amazing, then of course you would see people signing on. You would see popularity of our president be out of, skyrocketing right now. But it's not. He has some of the lowest approval ratings that exist. And we know that Republicans right now are going to have to face their constituents who are going to be demanding answers as to, one, y'all are getting paid right now. Members of Congress are getting paid right now. That's why people like Senator Andy Kim saying, I'll take $1 and take my salary and I'll give it back to the government so people can have money right now. We need to also dig in deep, and we need to make sure that we are there for our community members, for people that are impacted by this shutdown. We saw in the last shutdown, I just spoke to former Senator Doug Jones from the state of Alabama, Roland. He said in the last shutdown, he saw federal employees standing in lines at food banks. We need to make sure that we steel ourselves and we stand in solidarity and we help take care of people that are impacted by this shutdown.
So I discussed this yesterday, and I think it still has to be the case. So with this lawsuit, how are y'all going to make regular, ordinary people the face of this? Because I think the issue that I have is this, and Bishop William Barber and I talk all the time. He's always saying you gotta have impacted people. You can't have Democratic politicians, you can't have lawyers, you can't have strategists. You need to have people, families. People need to see real people who are impacted by this, not politicos. What is your plan to do that moving forward after filing this lawsuit?
Well, let's speak bluntly, right? There's the court of law. There's the court of public opinion. We can ring true in a court of law, but if you don't feel the reason behind what we're doing in that court of law, and if you don't understand what we're up to in the court of public opinion, then I have failed in what I am tasked to do, Roland. The plaintiffs in this case, as you reeled off at the beginning of this segment, they are AFL-CIO, American Federation of Government Employees. These are people that are federal employees. They are healthcare workers. They are sanitation workers. They are childcare providers. They are people that are making this country run. And they are the people that are under the gun right now of potentially being fired by this horrific, draconian, disgusting Trump administration. And so they are the face of this lawsuit. I may be here to explain the legalities. I may be here to advocate for why these are important lawsuits to bring, but ultimately they are the reason behind why we do this work.
Absolutely. I'm going to go to my panel for a series of questions. Joining us right now, Reese Colbert, host of the Reese Colbert Show out of Washington, D.C., Sirius XM Radio's. Reese, what's your question?
Oh, I didn't know we was doing questions. Hi, Katie.
Yeah, you doing questions because I said we doing questions.
I thought I was here to commentate, but that's okay. I got a question for Katie. Okay, Katie. So, you know, I'm wondering, how has, and this isn't about the lawsuit, but you and Nola are obviously both on the Persist Network. What's your read on how the Democrats on the Hill have been activating all facets of alternative media, including the mainstream media and social media? Because I've seen their social media presence, but I still feel like they haven't left, they're not in a no stone left unturned kind of mode. And they're starting to get outgunned in this, messaging war with their Hatch Act violations. So I'm just curious about your level of engagement or your read on that.
Yeah, look, I can't speak in generalizations, right? I'm going to be very blunt. I think that there has been an incredible lionization of members of Congress that's not fair, meaning I don't really think that they should have celebrity status the way that some of them have. There's a handful of them that have realized that independent media is really the frontier to be. Why? Because we have a huge reach and impact. Some of them have figured out that digital and social media, that those are the places they need to be waging a war when it comes to public opinion. Some of them haven't. And part of that is also because they're still married to the idea that traditional legacy mainstream media is the only way to reach certain people. But that's the point. It only reaches certain people. It doesn't reach the people and all people. And so I got to be honest, I would give them a grade of about a C- right now. But some of them have been very good about reaching out and having conversations and doing interviews and doing, duets on Insta and TikTok. But otherwise, they're a little deficient, I think, at this point.
Shit. Okay.
I'm being honest.
No. But here's my point. This is how basic this is. Okay. So, Shutdown, Wednesday, 12:01 a.m.
You knew it was coming.
This is just Roland. Roland would have had a sheet that said, these are the 5 people who are available from 5 to 6 a.m., 6 to 7, 7 to 8, 8 to 9, 9 to 10, 10 to 11. I would have said, media folk, this is who we've got available from 5 a.m. all the way to midnight. And then the next day, same thing. Oh, how about this here? And you know what? That's fine. Wednesday, we had Democratic Leader Hakeem Jeffries on the show. Not a problem? Good. Today's Thursday. Who did the Democrats offer up to come on our show tonight?
I'm looking.
Nobody.
That's the point, right?
Okay.
You knew this was happening, right?
That's kind of dumb. That's kind of dumb. To me, what's your strategy every single day? How are you driving home your point every single day? Oh, by the way, we sent an email. Let me just double check to see before I go to Zachary. Let me just double check and see if there's a response that came in. No, I personally sent an email on yesterday asking for Senator Chuck Schumer to come on this show. When was the last time Senator Chuck Schumer came on Roland Martin Unfiltered? October 29th, 2020.
Shut up, really?
October 29th, 2020. Now, we've asked every year since 2020. Now, last I checked, I don't know of any other daily news show that targets African Americans other than this one. I don't know. I would think that you might, okay, sure they have the little off the record pen and pad. Nah, come on the show. But see, again, this is what's stupid to me. So I just don't understand what the hell they're doing. And it ain't like I haven't texted them, but they should be, for independent shows, flooding the zone offering up countless people to have as guests, Katie. It's kind of basic to me.
You don't have to have a background in comms to be able to know that that's what it is. It's called flood the zone. It's the only way to combat the ecosystem that's been built effectively over years. We are behind the eight ball when it comes to communications, messaging, when it comes to the Democrats. I'll give you a really quick anecdotal example. You know, there's a guy that went to trial in federal court here in Florida for allegedly attempting to assassinate Donald Trump on the golf course at Mar-a-Lago, right over there. And did you know that Fox News sent 16 people to cover that trial every single day? Why? Because it fits the narrative of what they're trying to promote and peddle, right? Did you know that there was very little coverage from other stations, networks, etc.? Look, I don't want to amplify anything that deals with the convicted felon, but here's the thing. When it comes to something like this that directly impacts all Americans, regardless of political affiliation, then you have to get ahead of what you know is going to be coming down the pipeline. It was no secret they were going to be accusing Democrats falsely of giving free health care to illegal immigrants. They are using immigration as the boogeyman to be able to justify federalizing cities, going in, bringing in the National Guard, bringing in the military, continuing a campaign of intimidation and fear. This lawsuit combats that same concept. Let me cow you into submission. Let me make you scared into thinking that if you don't follow the party line, you're going to get your ass fired. That is completely consistent and on brand with who they are. Here's the thing that's absurd about it. They are so unoriginal. There is nothing original about what they do and how they roll it out. The only impressive thing, Roland, is, and I will admit it, they've done it a lot faster, a lot more efficiently, and a lot more powerfully in a shorter window of time than I anticipated from them. Otherwise, we all knew that this was going to happen.
Zachary?
Agree 129%. Katie, it's great to have the chance to dialogue with you, and great to see my friends, Dr. Nola and Reese, who I know is having a birthday soon, the prettiest Libra in the world, the gifts of Venus. Always beauty to her children. You know, my question is really, you know, when we look at the shutdown, we look at what's happening, what do you think will be the harshest, most immediate effects on American families?
WIC, the nutritional supplements that are provided to women, infants, nursing formula, that's gone in less than a week. That's nearly 7 million people that are impacted when WIC is gone. That, I think, is going to be the harshest thing that we're going to feel in America in the most immediate senses. Why? Because remember I talked about that double whammy? A lot of that big bullshit bill impact is not going to be felt in a huge way. American farmers are seeing it a little bit. That's a little bit more tariff related. But a lot of that big bullshit bill stuff is not going to be really felt until 2026. This shutdown is going to take a little bit of time. People are going to feel more of an inconvenience at the beginning. But things like WIC being gone, forget it, man. That's a lot of money and it's gone.
All right. I guess I'll let Nola ask a question. I guess I'll let her ask a question.
Lord, Katie, the stuff I got to go through with this man.
I'm just glad your Wi-Fi worked this week.
I'm gonna be so.
And I'm just glad you're not on mute this week. So the little blessings. The little blessings.
And I'm not about to get real colored right now, Roland.
The little blessings. Praise the Lord. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you very much. Yes,
I'm gonna
Lord.
go ahead and ask our guest, Katie. Thank you so much for being here tonight. The one thing that when I was reading through the case, you know, I'm sitting there and I'm reading it and I'm getting it and I'm feeling it. And, you know, as an ex-government employee, I'm appreciative in many ways that this is happening. But then I think about the Supreme Court. And when I think about the Supreme Court, you know, the kind of air beneath my wings kind of deflate very quickly. So how is the legal community thinking about this current Supreme Court and how many times they actually give Trump what they want? And could this be one of those times? And if so, what happens next?
Yes, I'm not going to BS you, right? You have to prepare for the worst and part of what's frustrating is the Supreme Court in an unprecedented manner has been taking these, quote, emergency applications on the shadow docket and doing so at rates that have never been seen before. And when they issue their rulings on the shadow docket, several of which have been bad, adverse, impacts on Americans, they do it without any explanation. And so it kind of leaves the lower courts to have to guess how they're supposed to be able to move forward, because a lot of these rulings that come on the shadow docket, they're not substantive rulings on the merits of the case. They're more the temporary stays, the injunctions, et cetera. So when we file these lawsuits, we have to anticipate the worst from SCOTUS. But I always want to remind myself a saying that was one of my late father's favorites and one that I like to use, which is, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. If we don't continue to persevere, if we're not relentless in pursuing justice and defending and pursuing the rule of law, then we've failed everyone. And we cannot allow ourselves to not take these lawsuits, challenge this administration, and go to court and fight for people, especially Americans and our federal employees, simply because we think that we could get an adverse ruling from the Supreme Court of the United States down the road. I will bet my bottom dollar if we get something good from this case, it'll go on an emergency application to the Supreme Court of the United States, right? But I can't worry about that right now. I can plan, I can strategize, I can game it out, I can figure out that that's a possibility, but I got to look at it as in we are only pursuing what we can, and that's right and just, because look, we have to be on the right side of history on this. When people later on look and see, what did you do during this time? I can't say that we just stood on the sidelines and did nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. All right, Katie Fang, I appreciate you joining us. Tell folks where they can check out your show.
Oh, that's so kind of you. So I am on YouTube at Katie Fang News. I also do this great segment called Wait a Damn Minute on the Persist Network, where Dr. Nola Haynes also has her program.
Yeah, you ain't got to
Nightcap.
mention her. You ain't got to mention her.
Oh, I will always pitch her. Are you kidding me? Look at Nola. And I'm on at Katie Fang. That's PHANG on all social media. But I appreciate the privilege of y'all's time, and to all of the people that are tuning in. It really is an honor to be able to spend some time with you guys tonight.
All right, glad to have you here. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Bye, y'all.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase, and I'm here with a very important message. We are at a turning point in the Black community where we must have equity in the apps we use that scale to billions of dollars. But this time, we own the infrastructure, we own the culture, and we shape the future. And Fanbase is the future. Fanbase combines the free functionality of Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube into an all-in-one platform built for the evolution of social media and monetization. With over 1.4 million users, that's real proof that we are shifting the conversation of tech ownership and equity for creators. So right now, I want you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. This marks a turning point in Black ownership of social media. If we don't take this opportunity to own social media right now, we will always be customers to our own creations. And that can't go on. So once again, go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. We must own the platforms where our voices live, our stories matter, and where our culture drives the world. Thank you.